We are live. We are direct straight out of Fort Worth, Texas with Lori Manning, who is a certified 10X business performance coach. And she specializes in helping businesses of different sizes to find where the constraint is in order to grow. She has also worked with different government contracts. She's a business strategist, recognized for building high performance organizations from the ground up. Welcome, Lori Manning.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. It's such an honor to be here with you. I appreciate that.
Amazing. Tell me what does sales mean to you? Like, this series is all about she leads, she sells. So tell me, like, what does sales mean in your quadrant?
So, Jay, I think sales are the most important aspect of a business. And if they do not have sales, they're not going to be successful. You can have all the planning, you can have all the leads, but if you cannot make a sale, you're not making money. And money is what you're after.
Okay. What would you say to some that say, hey, look, lead generation is just as important, if like more important in a sense, because if we don't get the leads or like eyeballs, then we have no one to sell to.
That's true. Grant says best known beats best. And
Mm.
so it's all about getting it into the system, right? Getting it into
Yeah.
that pipeline. And
Yeah.
so you've got to have a good closing ratio,
Mhm.
but you also need that pipeline filled at all times. And you do that by being known.
Yeah, because I know Grant Cardone recently, when I've been studying his content, he's been speaking about, hey, look, if I was to start again, then I'd put the focus on marketing. I mean, of course, we need to be able to close, or having both is necessary. But I guess marketing is key. Tell me, how do you market in terms of getting more contracts, more coaching contracts and things? Tell me your process for marketing.
So, Jay, my process is actually lots and lots of word of mouth. I'm in front of people on a daily basis
Wow,
because
amazing.
of the things that I do. I also use funnels. I really like to put it out there, some of the different membership courses and things that I personally offer. I know Grant talks about being on every social media platform you can be on every podcast you can be on. You want to be known. And to do that, you have to be out of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to step up and address people where they are and meet the need of what they have. And then I like to offer lots of just give. I like to give, as Grant would say, because in return, I'm able to pick up leads and clients that say, wow, I want to work with her.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. What do you find is the major block? Let's take female business owners, because this is what this series is about. What's the major block to female business owners scaling up their businesses?
I think as women, we are oftentimes unsure of ourselves. We
Mhm.
we don't want to necessarily step into what we call a man's world, and I think we define it by gender too much. And instead, we should define ourselves by what we are doing, by who we can help, what we can actually make a difference in the lives of people. And so, as women, I think the biggest struggle we face is being willing to insert ourselves where we're not sure we necessarily believe we belong.
Amazing. I read a book called Deservingness, and there's no amount of mentors or there's no amount of courses that can really compensate if you do not believe you're worthy.
That is a really good point, Jay. I agree wholeheartedly with what you just said. In my earlier portions of my career, I found myself at 23 years old coaching a collegiate ball team, right? I was actually I was 22, almost 23. And the umpires would stand up there and go, "Where's your coach?" And I was the coach. I felt like a pretender a lot of my life. And you just have to be brave and pull up your big girl pants and go out there and do it anyway.
Amazing. Do it anyway.
Do
Feel
it.
the Fear, Do It Anyway, a book by a famous book by Susan Jeffers.
Yeah.
Feel the Fear, Do It Anyway. All right, brilliant. Tell me then who you serve, because I know you work with all types of organizations, all sorts of sizes, but who do you mostly coach, like with the 10X stuff that you connect with?
I have two areas that I like to work with, okay? I'd like to help the startup, the person who has this idea, who might be an employee who says, wow, I know I can make this work. I'm really good at helping them separate what they have. And if that idea is truly a revenue making model, helping them create a business canvas model, helping them design the next steps, and then launching and actually making money. That's one of my areas and one of the focuses that I spend time on. Another good focus, and I've worked with companies, I've actually created companies up to $16 million in a short amount of time. I've done it repeatedly, and so I like to find that business owner that's stuck, whether it's at that half a million to break the million or 3 million and they want to get over that 5 million hump. Those are those clients that I really get charged to help with. And I love it because learning to scale and put processes and systems in place, it is not a natural thing. It is a very difficult thing for a business owner to let go and move it through. My mentor told me years and years ago when I was running a school, charter school, and he said, "Lori, you're too busy working in your business. You are not working on your business." He said,
Mm.
"You might have grown exponentially, but you were doing too many day to day." And so that was the biggest lesson I could have taken away at that time.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. Tell me how you would deal with the business owner stuck at maybe 100K in the year and scaling them to 1 million. What types of things would you put in place for them to scale?
It's funny, I actually have a client that's in this exact situation. She wants $1 million by the end of the next year. It's a personal high. She's never hit more than 180 in her little company. And so we are putting into place lots of things such as her marketing. She's great at posting every day on multiple platforms, but she has not become the authority in her space. And so she
Mm,
really needs to be recognized as that authority. She's in a professional industry. It is an industry that requires folks to be able to come and have great confidence in what she's telling them and help them become successful. And so you've got to be known. Once you're known, you've got to be the authority in that space. And then I think the other major thing for her scaling is she's got to get that pipeline filled and close her deals. Her closing rate's only 15%. When she has folks in front of her, she's got to be able to make that close. I told her we talked about it, and just doubling her closing effects brings her to $600,000. That's amazing. If she just doubles the close, she can actually be able to personally bring in over $600,000 in that company.
amazing. Have you got a book on this? Do you have a book on this?
No, would you believe I'm in process of writing a book. The Power
It's
of
good.
17 is the name of my
It's
book.
good because I think what you've laid out there is something very delicious in terms of number one, making sure that you get lead flow coming in, get known lead flow. Then number two, make sure that you're positioned as the authority in the marketplace, and then get that close rate
Yeah.
coming up. Like make sure that that close rate is there. So those three things in itself, lead
Yeah.
flow, making sure that you're positioned. Because if you're positioned, I read a stat like something along the lines of the top 10% in any industry get paid 55%
Of
of
the
the total
industry.
income.
Yeah, it's true.
And so,
It's that old concept of 80% of the people, yeah, I mean, 20% of the people do 80% of the work in most organizations, right?
yeah,
And then the other, um, you know, 80% are doing the other 20%. And that is such a true statement. If you want the market share, the lion's share or lioness share of the work, you got to go and you've got to do the work. You've got to be that
wow,
authority.
wow. Laurie, can I just say that your clients are so lucky to have you?
Thank you. You're very kind, Jay. I
Like,
appreciate
yeah, I like the simplicity of what you lay out. And that book's gonna be available when in February or like when when
it.
can I get a copy? Because like when the book comes out, I want to get that first copy. So tell me when I put it in my calendar.
How about Jay? I'll send you the first copy.
And look at this, Laurie, you're too kind.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna truly, seriously, I am.
I mean,
My goal is to launch a book by the end of first quarter next year.
I think you should because I think you've got a beautiful mind. The way you lay things out is very great, very simple. I love it.
Thank you.
And as Einstein said, if a 6-year-old doesn't understand it, then we don't really know it.
Well, it's true. And, I taught kids. I was actually a school teacher for a
Me
season
too.
after
Me too.
being a college coach, right? And I had to take those principles and be able to make sure fifth grade through 12th grade could understand what I'm saying. Well, then I moved into teaching adults. Oh my gosh, Jay, adults are worse than children. They don't know how to study anymore. They don't want to obey. They forget to
Eh,
put their name on the paper too,
eh,
right?
yeah, 100%,
So
100%.
I think the biggest advantage is being able to communicate, take hard things and make them simple. Yeah.
Tell me. we're nearly coming up to 2026 now. What's that big goal for 2026 for you in terms of your business growth? Like, what are you looking at apart from the book?
Absolutely. I'm going to hit $1 million this year.
Wow,
It's gonna
amazing.
happen. I'm very excited. I just started and launched officially my personal company in July, and I want to be $1 million before 18 months passes. So no grass growing under my feet, man. I'm out there making a difference.
Amazing. And how, like, you speak about lead flow, like, what is your plan for lead flow for $1 million? Like, how is that gonna happen?
Absolutely. One of the things that I am able to do is I'm in front of lots and lots of people. So my day job, because you have to understand, I work in a government setting, and then I can't do any government contracting for my personal clients because that would be a conflict of interest because I, in my day job, help government contracting. And now I have a contract that is helping that contract with
Amazing.
government contracting, and so I have to separate that, but all of these folks that come to us that need assistance, they want business assistance, and in part of getting that business assistance, it means that I have immediate lead flows of how I can do business development for those folks, and I have a lot of them that will say, "I understand you do this, will you help me?" And so that is I pick up many clients that way. Lots of, "Will you help me?" Um, I also try to post regularly on the Facebook, the LinkedIn, the Insta. I'm working to start my own podcast, Jay. And so I was really excited when you invited me to join your podcast because I want to talk to other business owners and see how they're doing it. I want to learn from the best. So I'm
No, of
filling that.
course.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's good to have these goals and to focus on the basics, lead
Yeah.
flow,
Yeah.
positioning. Positioning is such a powerful thing because you might think the answer is to skip into another industry. Hey, let me hop into AI. That's where all my problems are going to be solved. However, you're not positioned in AI, and you're starting from the very beginning in a sense. And so sometimes it's like integrating AI into what you have and being positioned in terms of what your zone of genius is. As you said, what's the 20% thing that, is creating 80% of the income? Like, what's the zone of genius there, which is definitely the power. So
It
yeah,
truly is. And the other thing, Jay, I think people do not look. They say, "Oh, I want to build this," but they don't have a target. And Grant Cardone talks about goals and targets, and they're two different things. And I know that to make my goal, I have to have 60 people that want to grow their business and scale and get through some difficulty. And I need 60 people who want to start something new. Now, if I get those 2 goals, I hit my $1 million, and that's the bottom line. So I know I have a target. I've gotta put those people in the pipeline. I need, 5 a month, whatever it is that I need, and that is where the difference comes, is because I am shooting for something very, very specific.
amazing. Wow. Your clients are so lucky to have you, Laurie. Just with the wisdom, you're able to shake it up on both sides, B2C, B2B,
Thank you.
but most important, B2H. I think B2H. Do you know what H stands for?
Oh,
B2H?
you tell me, please.
Business to human. I think that is the biggest opportunity in this space. Humanity, being
I
able to connect with the human.
That's right. And I think AI can't do that, and that is what we're missing. We think, "Oh, we're gonna put everything in automation."
Bingo,
People want people. They want to know that you care.
bingo.
There's a saying in the Christian world that if people don't know how much you care, then why are they gonna listen to what you have to say? I mean, Jesus said this himself, "Feed them, clothe them, take care of them."
100%.
That's right.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach, which is why I think to be able to prosper, it's to be able to pitch, sell, but that's not enough. You gotta publish. Because I think when you publish, people see you care. All right. Laurie's got the book on how to scale. All right. She clearly cares enough to kind of, Laurie's got the podcast. Laurie's doing an offline event in La Jolla, San Diego. She really cares about this in that regard.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Jay. Now you need to be preaching on that. But more and more women need to fill those spaces, books, in-person events. I did 74 events last year, friend. And
Wow.
between all of my different jobs, positions, contracts, and also,
Amazing.
yeah. And it makes a difference because I have that face-to-face pipeline, if you will.
100%. 100%. And I really believe that in the age of, is that picture real? Is that video real? Is that testimonial real? In the age of skepticism, by tapping back into human to human, that's where the real advantage is. Like lots of people are saying to me, Jay, look, I'm posting, but it's not working anymore because it's not 2020 anymore.
That's true.
And either we evolve or we stay the same. Lots of people doing more samey stuff. We have to evolve. We're going to get uncomfortable, right, Lauren?
Yeah, I agree with you, Jay. You're speaking truth when you talk about evolving because whether you choose to evolve or not, it's happening around you. It is going
100%.
to surround you and cover you over. It's like the sand that is coming underneath your feet. There's a good old story. It's almost a fable, if you will, where a donkey was thrown into the deep well by his master, and they started throwing sand. They were just going to bury this donkey alive, and they didn't need him anymore. He was useless. He didn't have any ability to participate or to provide service, right? And so they were throwing the sand in on top of the donkey's back, and he thought, I'm going to be buried alive. Or he decided instead to shake the sand off, stomp his feet a little bit, and kept doing it as they were pouring buckets and buckets of sand. He'd stomp his feet, and he was stomping as hard as he could stomp, Jay. And you know what happened? He slowly rose to the top. And as he was rising to the top and he shook his step, he was able to step right out of that well because he chose to stand on the sand as opposed to allow it to bury him. We have to evolve. We have to think of out of the box, and we have to be willing to do the work to stomp the ground to get what we want.
Amazing. Laurie, let them know how they can get hold of you and who you're looking for.
Absolutely. So I'm looking for folks who want to make a difference, male, female, I don't care. Let's go and grow your business. Let's go solve some of those constraints you're fighting. My email, LORIM, Lori M, at Grant Cardone Team, grantcardoneteam.com. And love to have an email from them. You may call my cell phone. I'm very available to my clients. It's best to text actually, because I'm probably already in another coaching session with someone else. But
Yeah.
that number, 864-256-6474. 864-256-6474. Text me and I'll get back to you. Guys, Jay, thank you for having me on your show.
It's been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to the book coming out February. I want the first copy of that. So let me know and I'll buy that book.
Hey, listen, man, I'll send you that first copy. You bring me back on the podcast, we'll talk about it.
100%. Thank you, Laurie. All the way out of Texas. That's Laurie.
Bye, guys.
That's it. Laurie in the building. Speak to me, sister. Speak to me. Speak to me, my Texas gal. 100%, sister.